A rumor moves through history like a breeze in a sealed room, subtle, undeniable, awakening flame from ash. The ancients had a word for that breeze: Theletos. Not desire, not whim, not the clenched jaw of egoic intention. Theletos is the silent vector of the divine, the will that does not shout, because everything that exists already leans in its direction. Imagine you're standing at the mouth of an old desert shrine at dusk. Wind writes brief scripture in sand. The stones remember fingers that carved them and prayers that outlived their speakers. You lift your palm and feel a directionless current that nonetheless points you. This is the signature of Theletos, felt before understood. We confuse will with force. We call strain intention. We try to pry the universe open with our knuckles. Theletos is different. It is the native tendency of reality to unfold toward its own wholeness. It is how a seed knows root from sky. It is how your breath searches for rhythm after grief. If you've ever obeyed a small inner nudge and later discovered that everything hinged on that tiny yes, you've tasted Theletos. It does not argue with you. It doesn't bargain or threaten. It whispers the next right openness. When you ignore it, your life crowds. When you heed it, the road appears beneath your step. Theletos is not your personal craving disguised in holy robes. It is the current moving under all cravings, the tide under waves. Desire can be trained by it, refined by it, even redeemed by it, like a river taught by its own banks to become magnificent rather than destructive. Ancient fragments hint that Theletos preceded creation's orchestration. Before light learned its grammar, before time remembered sequence, there was a yes so complete that it became a cosmos. That yes still echoes. You hear it in the way certain choices feel heavier with meaning than their size would justify. Ask yourself, where in your life do you feel a pull that doesn't bully, an invitation that expands the room? Where do you sense a softness that paradoxically strengthens your spine? If you stand very still, what direction does your soul exhale toward? Tonight, as you fall asleep, ask Theletos to show itself not as a concept, but as a compass. You may wake with an unreasonable peace about a next step, or a clean refusal that frees your courage. Theletos speaks most clearly where we stop performing strength and begin practicing surrender. Christos is not a biography. It is a pattern, a template of luminous coherence threading through worlds, religions, myths, clothed in different names, but always the same temperature of mercy and the same refusal to bow to counterfeit authority. Christos is the intelligence of love, arranging chaos into song. Close your eyes and remember the last time you were forgiven before apologizing. Something in you reorganized, didn't it? Your shame lost its vocabulary. You stood straighter, not because you earned the right, but because grace demanded it. That is the way Christos behaves, transfiguring without belittling, correcting without humiliating. Across cultures, the archetype appears: the healer who cures by recognition, the teacher who awakens by remembering you to yourself, the sovereign who kneels to lift the fallen. The costume changes, the essence does not. Christos is the sacred geometry of compassion, doing architecture inside the human heart. If Theletos is the invisible will to wholeness, Christos is that will made visible as form, word, deed, and presence. Christos touches the blind and gives them more than eyesight. He gives them true sight, the world seen without the lens of fear. He speaks and the voltage of truth depolarizes the room. There is a reason power structures either crucify this pattern or copyright it. The pattern refuses licenses. It will not be franchised. It lives wherever a person loves beyond the threat of punishment, tells the truth without performing heroism, gives without calculating applause. You are not asked to become a historical figure. You are asked to become transparent to the pattern. When your speech fits the mouth of mercy, when your hands remember how to bless, when your boundaries protect life rather than isolate you from it, you are becoming Christos-shaped. Ask yourself, where has love been asking to become intelligent in me? Where has truth been asking to become gentle, and gentleness asking to become fierce? The pattern waits at the junction of those questions. Move there, and you will feel a doorway unlock. In a world addicted to spectacle, Christos is the quiet revolution. It changes futures by purifying motives. It builds new structures by healing old stories. It takes the currency of attention and spends it on what actually feeds the soul. In the pleroma tongue of the mystics, a syzygy is a paired alignment. Two great powers face to face, mirroring one another into greater clarity. Theletos and Christos are such a pair. Will and manifestation, source yes and living form. When they align in you, ordinary life stops feeling like exile. Picture a loom. Theletos is the warp, longitudinal strands held in sacred tension, running from origin to origin. Christos is the weft, thread that moves across carrying color, story, revelation. The cloth of a soul's destiny is woven where they cross, decision after decision, mercy after mercy, breath after breath. Most of our suffering comes from trying to weave without warp, action without alignment, or from clinging to warp without weft, noble intention that never moves into embodied courage. The syzygy teaches that holiness is the marriage of interior ascent and exterior fidelity, contemplation and incarnation. Nature rehearses this union everywhere. Root, Theletos, and blossom, Christos. Gravity, Theletos, and flight, Christos. Tides pull and moons face. When you witness balance, you are witnessing a liturgy older than language. When your choices synchronize with that liturgy, you become strangely effective without becoming hard. There is a posture that invites the syzygy, stillness that is not laziness, action that is not frenzy. The stillness listens for Theletos. The action yields to Christos. Stand between them and you will feel like a gateway, because you are one, a living threshold where heaven learns to walk and earth learns to kneel. Ask yourself, where am I overworking without wonder? Where am I mystifying what I must finally embody? Which thread have I favored at the expense of the other? The honest answer is your altar. Bring both strands there. Tie them in the silence that says yes without trembling. When Theletos and Christos meet, creativity becomes sacrament. You write and the words arrive already alive. You speak and your voice chooses the fewest necessary syllables. You touch and the touch remembers Eden. This is not magic. It is alignment rediscovered. In that alignment, your life stops asking permission from fear. You become lucid inside your own story. You stop negotiating with lesser gods. And the world around you begins to change, not because you forced it, but because you became congruent with the deepest pattern it secretly loves. A traveler named Mara crossed a salt desert with a question that would not sleep. What is the shape of my life when I stop pretending? On the third day, parched and unsentimental, she found a low stone doorway with no walls around it, only sky. Someone had carved one word in its lintel. Yes. She stepped through the door and nothing happened. The horizon didn't blossom. Angels didn't break into applause. But a current changed. She felt it in the soles of her feet, as if the ground itself had adjusted its welcome. She slept there that night, a skull for a pillow, and dreamed water walking toward her. At dawn, she followed the memory of that dream rather than the logic of her maps. The dunes drained into a channel of pale stone, then widened into a hidden valley where fig trees whispered with bees. No miracle, just provision that felt precise. Mara wept without drama. She ate. She listened. In the valley lived an old mason who built arches that held the sky where it sagged. "Theletos is not your wish," he said while shaping a keystone. "It is the arch itself, asking for the stone that will complete it. You are the stone that answers. Christos is the sound the arch makes when it stands." Mara worked with the mason through 7 moons. She learned to hear weight, to feel the shiver of balance at the instant before collapse becomes strength. "This," the mason would say, tapping the curve, "is prayer." "But there are no words," Mara would answer. "Then you are learning," he would smile. One evening, a storm broke the valley. Flood frothed down the pale channel with the personality of a lion. The arches did not mourn. They did what they were shaped to do. Mara stood beneath one and felt the world pass over her head without drowning her. "This," she whispered, "is Christos." When the waters lowered, the mason handed Mara a small door. Stone, portable, absurd. "Where you set this," he said, "set it with reverence. The world needs travelers who carry thresholds. Find those who ache for yes. Give them the courtesy of an honorable crossing." Mara left the valley. She set the door in markets, at sickbeds, in courtrooms where truth needed a mouth. Sometimes she stepped through first to show it was safe. Sometimes she stood aside and watched people become the shape they had always suspected. She never advertised. The door didn't need it. Practice begins where romance fails and devotion deepens. To practice Theletos is to choose a cadence that gives the divine room to be specific, not vague spirituality, not theatrical surrender. Clean, repeatable actions that keep your inner ear unblocked and your outer life uncluttered. Begin with morning silence before the world auditions for your attention. Sit, breathe, and simply ask, "What is the most honest yes available to me today?" Write what comes without editing. Then ask, "What is the cleanest no?" Write that too. Now you have a compass rose, not just a to-do list. Watch your language. Words are levers. Retire the vocabulary of strain, grind, hustle, crush. Adopt the language of fidelity. Keep, tend, steward, offer. Your nervous system is listening. Theletos does not ride broken animals into battle. It trains them into gentleness that can carry glory. Simplify one space, a drawer, a calendar block, a friendship. Remove what is performative, what is there for optics, what consumes your clarity to keep its own confusion alive. Theletos prefers clean altars. You will be surprised how quickly new instruction arrives when the noise apologizes and leaves. Choose a daily generosity that costs you ego, but not health. A secret kindness given without receipt. Theletos expands in the soul that is safe to trust with small power. Start where you can endure to be unseen. If it still stings, you are detoxing from applause. Good. Keep going. Refuse the false emergency. Many urgent demands are archonic, counterfeit alarms that farm your attention. Ask, what actually collapses if I answer this from peace rather than panic? Watch the idol lose its glamour. Theletos is a long game. Urgency is its least useful instrument. Each evening, rehearse the day backward for 2 minutes. Where did you feel that quiet, directional yes? Where did you betray it? No self-violence, just notice, bless, and refine. This is how a life becomes aerodynamic to grace. Many call it discipline. I call it friendship with your future. And when confusion returns, and it will, practice the simplest prayer. Align me where I can be of most honest use. Then watch for the modest door that appears, a call to make, a habit to end, an apology to deliver, a project to release. Theletos wastes nothing, especially your willingness. If Theletos clears the channel, Christos is the river that runs clean. To practice Christos is to become articulate in mercy, fluent enough to bless without enabling, truthful enough to cut without wounding dignity, bold enough to stand where convenience kneels. Start with the body. Christos becomes visible through hands, eyes, tone. Practice the sacrament of unhurried presence. When you listen fully, people tell you the thing beneath the thing, and the room stops pretending. The simplest ministry is attention without predation. Commit to one courageous truth per day spoken in love. Not a performance. A precise sentence that returns a situation to reality. I can't continue this pattern. I forgive you, and here are my new boundaries. That rumor is not accurate. Truth becomes medicinal when dosage meets dignity. Bless your enemies in specific language, not to be virtuous, but to be free. May they find the wholeness that ends their need to harm. Your nervous system will protest. Train it. Christos recalibrates the ecosystem of your attention so that resentment cannot afford the rent. Give beauty. It is not trivial. A clean table, a sentence pruned to its music, a room where grief can graze without being fenced. Christos crafts conditions where people can tell the truth. Beauty is truth's favorite climate, because beauty is truth's older sister. Practice holy refusals. Say no to counterfeit authority that demands obedience without offering nourishment. Say no to spiritual theater that loves the applause of surrender more than the cost of fidelity. Say no to your own martyr fantasies that keep you exhausted and useful to no one. Let confession be a habitat, not an event. Tell on yourself before you are caught. I was sharp today. I'm sorry. Fear spoke through me. Let me try again. Christos thrives where shame cannot camouflage. The air gets honest, and healing stops negotiating its entrance. Finally, make room for joy. Not as anesthetic, but as calibration. Laughter cleans the lens. Song oils the hinge. Celebration reminds the nervous system that the purpose of truth is freedom, not tightness. If your practice makes you smaller, it isn't Christos. If it makes you precise and generous, keep going. When Theletos and Christos are both awake in you, creativity ceases to be a rescue operation and becomes a response. You stop writing to prove you're real and start writing because the real is spilling through you too quickly to hoard. What you make carries the aftertaste of permission. In relationships, syzygy tastes like mutual clarity. You do not recruit others to finish your unfinished childhoods. You stop auditioning for love and begin collaborating with it. Boundaries become invitations rather than electrified fences. Your no is honest, your yes is a covenant, and intimacy stops feeling like a gamble. Vocation shifts from job title to atmosphere. Wherever you are, the room learns to breathe differently. Meetings become less performative. Conflicts become laboratories. The poor in spirit find their names again. The bully finds his mirror and his exit. You become the person people seek when the counterfeit stops working. As of October 2025, our species is either remembering or forgetting at cinematic speed. Technology multiplies voices. It cannot multiply wisdom. The syzygy is the filter we need. Theletos sorts what is essential. Christos shapes what is offered. Without both, brilliance turns predatory and kindness turns naive. Ask yourself, is my art aligned or merely impressive? Are my relationships arenas where truth grows or stages where fear rehearses? Is my work an altar or a treadmill? Your answers will sting or sing. Good. Either way, the feedback is holy. Bring the syzygy to your money. Let spending become statement, not sedation. Let giving become strategy, not guilt. Let earning become the fruit of real usefulness rather than the prize for tolerated dishonesty. Theletos will show you what you cannot afford ethically. Christos will show you what you cannot afford to withhold. Bring it to your health. Eat for clarity, move for consonance, sleep for revelation. Let your body become a sanctuary where instructions can land gently. You are not auditioning for immortality, you are cultivating receptivity. Precision is love's biomechanics. And bring it to your speech online. Every post either fattens the archons or starves them. Refuse to feed the counterfeit with your outrage. Offer the world sentences that have passed through silence first. This is how timelines turn into thresholds. This is how a feed becomes a field. We were taught that free will means unlimited options. That is not freedom, that is the mall. Real freedom is the ability to consent to what is most true without sabotage from your wounds. Theletos dignifies you by revealing that not every option deserves the theatre of your deliberation. Choice in the syzygy is not coin-toss drama, it is resonance. Does this path make me more honest, more whole, more available to love? If yes, proceed, even if costly. If no, abstain, even if glamorous. When you decide this way consistently, destiny begins to look like competence in listening. But what about desire? Desire is sacred when it is trained. Theletos teaches it to prefer what nourishes over what numbs. Christos teaches it to express itself in ways that increase dignity for all involved. Untrained desire is a tourist. Trained desire is a pilgrim. Which are you becoming? Ask, who benefits from me being confused right now? Often, confusion is not a lack of information, but a habit of avoiding responsibility. Theletos does not punish you for stalling, it simply goes on growing elsewhere. Let that sober you without shaming you. Catch up by telling the truth. When you don't know what to do what keeps you lucid. Hydrate, walk, clean a small border, pray a sentence you can actually mean. Call a wise friend and tell them exactly what you're tempted to say to yourself instead of the truth. Lucidity is the mother of trustworthy choice. If you fear making the wrong choice, remember, Christos redeems missteps faster than fear prevents them. The pattern loves learners. Broken bones knit stronger than untested ones when set properly. Set your bone by confessing quickly and repairing openly. Then keep moving. There will be seasons where Theletos says wait, and everything in you screams now. Waiting is not passivity when it is attentive. Gardeners know this, musicians know this, lovers learn this or lose each other. Waiting aligns timing with ripeness so that arrival can be received rather than survived. In your deepest decisions, do not ask, is this safe? Ask, is this aligned? Safety can be a decent usher. Alignment is a faithful priest. Let it bless your path. Let it send you where comfort could never imagine the feast awaiting those who risked being honest. There are forces invested in your distraction. Call them archons or algorithms. Their diet is identical, your unguarded attention. They do not fear your outrage. They farm it. They do not mind your spirituality if it remains decorative. The syzygy threatens them because it produces humans who can't be herded by shame. Harsh truth, much of what passes for manifestation is just couture greed with incense. Another harsh truth, much of what passes for surrender is avoidant laziness dressed as mysticism. Theletos and Christos expose both by insisting on costly love and measurable integrity. Clean hope, you can become unblackmailable, not because you are flawless, but because you are confessional. Nothing sticks to the soul that tells the truth before accusation arrives. Christos makes transparency glamorous again. Theletos makes fidelity beautiful again. Together they make freedom contagious. Harsh truth. Some communities love your obedience more than your emancipation. They train you to be a consumer of certainty rather than a practitioner of wonder. Clean hope. You can outgrow cages without hating the keepers. Just walk out and set a table outside. Some will join you when hunger outweighs fear. Harsh truth. Your coping strategies once saved your life and now they tax it. Clean hope. Gratitude releases them with honor and replaces them with craft. You can learn new ways to stay present that don't mortgage your future to yesterday's skills. Harsh truth. Forgiveness without boundaries is a costume the abuser approves of. Clean hope. Forgiveness with boundaries is an ecosystem where harm cannot reproduce. Christos commands both, the mercy that frees your heart and the fences that protect your garden. Harsh truth. We are living in an attention economy that cannot monetize your silence or your wonder, so it ridicules both. Clean hope. Your silence and wonder are how Theletos rewires your nervous system for revelation. Guard them like seed in winter. And when despair prowls the edges of your house, let prayer become architecture. Make me a place where your will feels at home and your light knows what to do. Then light a candle, wash a dish, write one true sentence, and phone a friend who is building the same kind of house. That is revolution enough for today. Imagine a neighborhood where people make decisions not from fear of loss, but from alignment with Theletos. Crime drops because belonging rises. Gossip starves because truth eats better. Art becomes medicine. Commerce becomes covenant. Leadership becomes stewardship. This is not utopia. It is adulthood on a species scale. Picture October 2025 as a hinge. Those who choose spectacle will grow louder and emptier. Those who choose alignment will grow quieter and more potent. You will begin to recognize your kin by the way rooms exhale when they enter. They won't brag. They will build. You will want to help. Education can become wonder training rather than obedience conditioning. Healthcare can learn to treat stories as part of anatomy. Justice can remember restoration where punishment has failed. Faith communities can trade celebrity for sanctuary. The syzygy is not a theory of change, it is a metabolism that produces it. What is your next faithful step? Is it an apology, a boundary, a poem, a resignation letter, a marriage vow renewed, a screen turned off, a meal delivered, a habit buried with honors? Do that. Alignment spreads by imitation. Someone is waiting to see what courage looks like in your clothes. Ask yourself right now, where does Theletos tug my sleeve? Where does Christos ask for my hands? Where can my yes become a shelter and my no become a gate? Write your answers, speak one aloud, then move your feet. The future respects people who can walk their revelation home. You are not alone. Across the world, small tables are being set, thresholds carried like Mara's stone door to places where despair has been loitering too long. Every honest kindness is a reconnaissance mission. Every healed boundary redraws a map. Every confession rewilds a sterile field. If this message found you, it is because you are part of the remembering. Let your life become a living syzygy. Theletos as your compass, Christos as your craft. Let your art host it. Let your work fund it. Let your home rehearse it until guests ask why your rooms feel like weather after rain. If this stirred your soul, share it with the ones who are listening for the same music. Subscribe so we can keep walking this path together. And if you feel called to go deeper into this world, its mythic architecture, its fierce tenderness, its luminous rebellions, explore my Gnostic-inspired novels and audiobooks linked in the description. May your yes be clean and your light precise.